Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Game of Funds podcast, a podcast about revenues and exits, where Norm and I tackle mostly things about private equity, acquisitions, and exit. Norm, how are you feeling? You feeling okay?
Yes, to be honest, I'm great. Thanks for asking. How are you today,
Good.
sir?
I am okay. It's
Yeah.
it's been an interesting week. Here we are.
Okay, good, good.
So yeah, we have a very interesting topic and a very interesting guest.
True.
So what we are gonna talk about, and this is a topic very dear to me, and you kind of approach it in a different way, and we will touch on that. And that is acquiring companies with zero money down.
Which I don't know how to do that, sir.
Yes. So this is probably as
Uh,
all of our episodes with private equities and acquisition. This is kind of be the learning episode
True.
for you. Cool.
Yes.
So our guest, ladies and gentlemen, is Colin Kleine from CEO and founder of Scalerr. Colin, my friend, welcome to the show.
Welcome, Colin.
Thank you, guys. It's the first time that I've ever done a podcast at 3:30 a.m. So yeah,
We are
quite.
very appreciative of that. And holy F, you're doing a podcast at 3:30 a.m.
I think, Mario, we can definitely, agree to define Colin as the man of steel,
Yeah.
right? Come on.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
man of
I'm okay.
steel,
I'm
right?
okay with it. I don't have a problem with that.
Good. So
Thank you.
please,
Yeah.
please ensure that this is on the page,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay,
Well,
good.
I'll just draw a Superman outfit with my hand.
True. I think so, yeah.
I
So,
also, and I'm sure we'll get into it, but it's also equally as entertaining for me how something that I just had to learn how to do completely by accident. I've now been asked to deliver talks in multiple parts of the world, given that it's not my core business at all. It's just something that I had to learn out of desperation as an entrepreneur. And now I'm doing talks at 3:30 a.m. So must be an interesting message.
it's
It is.
phenomenal, man.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. So, Colin, before we dive into the topic, and again, the topic for this episode of Game of Funds is acquiring companies with zero money down. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your background growing up, and then, what you've done. And you can, just a little bit about what Scalarr does. And then we'll dive into the topic.
Yep. So I'll give you the condensed version. My accent is Australian, and I was originally born in the Soviet Union, so I am technically half Russian, half Ukrainian, which it's a lot more common than what people think. But moved to Australia when I was 4 years old. I now live in Singapore. I guess I'd say I'm a serial entrepreneur or a serial pest, according to my wife, but I'm serial something. And I'm involved in a couple of businesses. So I've got an accelerator, I'm an LP in a couple of funds, but my core business, we work with tech companies to help them to scale. So we have worked with about 500 startups, 40 unicorns. I've built and scaled my own company into 9 markets, and hopefully we'll be adding 2 to 3 more soon. And I kind of fell into doing some of the things that I'm doing now by accident or kind of out of curiosity. So I started actually as a recruiter, recruiting for tech companies. So Wix, Deal, AWS, Workday, Twilio, Okta. I'd worked with all these companies to help them expand into APAC. And then one day, as you do, I was cycling on my Peloton and I asked myself the question on why the hell do companies want to expand into the most confusing continent on the planet? Most of the world population is in Asia, but nobody speaks the same language. It's super fragmented. It's one of the hardest regions of the world to sell into. Like, why do you
Oh,
want to give yourself the stress? And after thinking about this for like 2 to 3 days, I finally realized it all can't. It all has to do with valuation. The way that investors make money, this won't be a surprise to you guys. They're not investing out of the goodness of their heart. They're investing because you're going to deploy that money intelligently and it grows the
Yeah.
valuation. And one of the easiest ways to grow the valuation of a company is by international expansion. So I kind of realized that I'd been helping companies to grow their valuation for 10 years. I was just doing it initially through recruitment. So then we started thinking more broadly because I helped deal from when they were just seed stage. I helped walk me when they were at seed stage. Noam recognizes these companies as they are
Yes,
Israeli.
true. Yeah.
Like that's how
Yeah.
early I worked with them in helping them go global. But really what I was doing is helping them to build a compelling case for why they should be raising capital because they've proven international traction. So once I kind of realized that, we changed their entire business model because it's all about how can we help you grow your valuation? How can we help you grow the pipeline that's going to allow you to be able to raise? So from that, that's how we began building advisory boards for companies, helping them in doing their go-to-market and helping them to build like their executive GTM teams. So that's a little bit about my background and what I do and also why I'm bald.
Man, this is impressive. Truly, this is impressive.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, let's dive into the topic. So, acquiring companies with zero money down, and this has been, I would say, a fairly new trend that is emerging in this world of entrepreneurs and acquisition. It kind of began with equipreneurs, so people acquiring companies from people who want to retire, right? So,
Yeah.
your HVACs, your plumbing, your roofing companies, baby boomer owners want to retire, you come in, and then and then what Colin and I actually are seeing, no, is that some startups are using the same tactics, or they will try to use the same tactics to acquire similar businesses as a way of expanding into
Yeah.
difficult regions, right?
Yes.
So let's break it down a little bit, right? So so my first question to you, Colin, is how do you finance this type of a deal? So how do you buy? How do you actually buy it? Like
Yeah.
what are the top 2 or 3 things that are important when you want to acquire a company with no money down?
The most important thing, same customer base, complementary angle. That's the first, sorry, that's the first one. Sorry, technically is two. But the second one is you come in and you add value to them, value that they wouldn't have had if they were trying to do this independently of you, and a real value and a sweetener where it makes no sense for them not to join the wider group. So as I love storytelling, it's one of my favorite things. I love to tell you how I actually learned how to do this because it's two very unusual things that happened to me
Yeah.
that I kind of had to learn how to do it. So the first one is we began going global. My business partner moved to the UK and I decided that I'm going to move to the business hub of Asia, which is Singapore. So I moved to Singapore and I went to go open up a bank account and they're like, so we've discovered an anomaly on your file. We would like to give you a personal bank account, but we're not going to give you a business bank account. I'm like, okay, great. Why the fuck not? They're
Yeah.
like, okay, how do we say this? We can't work with your kind. I'm like, the fuck are you talking about?
What is your kind?
What's my kind? And I'm like, what?
What?
Australians? They're like, no. I'm like, entrepreneurs. I'm like, they're like, no. I'm like, what are you talking about? They're like, because you're potentially associated with our terror financing or politically exposed person. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? They're like, because you're Russian. I'm just like,
Wow.
dude, my accent is about distinctly Australian as it possibly gets. So but they're like, no, but this city of birth, this is in Russia. I'm like, I'm from the Soviet Union. We moved when I was 4. So I went through this really painful, they're like, because of the Russia-Ukraine war, they're like, sorry, you're potentially on a sanctions list, even though I've got an Australian passport. So I moved my family to a new country to expand my business, and I can't open up a fucking bank account where we've got our global headquarters. That is stressful. But by virtue of that, I had also spoken to a good friend of mine who expanded his business into 15 markets and ended up getting one of the biggest exits in Asia. So he sold Tab Square to Delivery Hero at the height of those valuations. And opening up a bank account was horrendous. And I just asked him, like, so did you open up 15 bank accounts? To which he replied, absolutely not. I only ever opened up 3 bank accounts. I'm like, so how did you have 3 bank accounts with 15 entities? He's like, well, joint ventures and no money down deals. I'm like, how do you mean? He's like, well, it's quite simple. You find a company in another market who sells to the same customer base, completely complementary angle. You start initially as referral partners. You come in and you kind of like enhance them, but you ideally target companies that are smaller than you, either in size or in revenue. But by you coming in, you're actually uplifting their business. Now you work together for a period of 6 months and then you have the chat. It's like, this has been going quite well. Why don't you come on board as a part of us? We've got our global holding company. We're going to give you equity within the global holding company. Now, what you're going to do, we're going to do a joint venture, but you're going to pay a management fee up to the global holding company. Now, we are going to accumulate those management fees, and then we're going to do another joint venture, and then we're going to do another joint venture and another joint venture. And every single time we open up in a new market, that equity that you're holding goes up and up and up, and we can go for an exit in 3 to 5 years' time. So he did that. And he managed to do that 12 times, which expanded him to another 12 markets, taking him to 15 and never spent a single dollar. So I learned this. I'm like, I don't have a fucking bank account. I can't pay them. I can't give you any money even if I wanted to. So I had to learn how to do creative finance. I had to learn how to identify companies where serving the same sort of customer from a completely complementary angle, where you come in and you enhance them. So it's whether you've got more global deal flow that they wouldn't currently have, whether you've got a completely new revenue line that they wouldn't currently have, whether you've got knowledge that they wouldn't currently have, but you work together, you build that sort of a relationship, and then you have the chat. Why don't you come under our banner? We'll give you equity within the central holding company. And basically, what I became quite famous for, people are asking me, so you entered a new market and you got an existing book of business, you paid nothing for it, and they even agreed to pay your management fee for the privilege of you acquiring their business. I'm like, correct.
No, it is fascinating. One of the examples that I saw of this is I saw in United States, I saw a company that's been acquiring pet shops. So brick and mortar pet shops, but they do the same thing. Like they would say, hey, come under our banner. We have a wholesale channel where we can make sure that whatever you buy is at lower price. So we will immediately increase your profits. You come under our banner, we will take, like you pay the management fee, you become a part of our holding. And then once we have 50, 60, 100 of these brick and mortar, we just sell them off. And then you get a little bit larger exit than you would have gotten if we just give you cash. So instead of getting, I don't know, 2 million for your brick and mortar shop, you now get 5.
Can I give you another? Can I actually mention something else? It's really, really important. The one thing is equity. The other one is, because it's all like, we were speaking about what sort of business you could do this with, whether it's a distressed business. I talk about it being an aspirational business. And you structure the deal in such a way that it appeals to their aspirations. Because the other thing that you can do is you can structure a deal in terms of passive income. It's like, great, you can come under our banner, we can give you equity. Now, that equity, whatever it is, can get exercised. But remember, every single time that we add a new entity, that's paying a management fee, which means that from all of these new and acquired management fees, that's paying out a dividend distribution to you. So you're sitting there scratching your nuts and making money from 12 companies in a whole bunch of new markets. It's all around the way in which you structure the deal, and you make it, and you didn't genuinely do make it very, very attractive for the other party, and you have to make it a win-win-win, and you have to add value to them, of course. But it's just structuring in what is it that the other party wants, because don't assume that it's equity. A lot of the time, it is just passive income. So
yeah. I think you've touched on a little bit, and I would like Noam you to chime in at this point, and that is what I've discovered, right, in my journey, and I've been at it for little less than a year now, and I've immersed myself in this world fully, is the main thing. Yes, you how do you frame it and how do you approach the owner and all of that, but in the end, it's how you structure the deal.
Yeah.
True.
That is the number one, the most important thing, for sure,
Hardest part.
and the hardest part as well. So Noam, what's been your
Well, yeah. So for me, the journey is like a decade, a bit more of a decade. So you could say that, starting off was the hardest because I had no clue on how to structure deals like that. Okay, so you look at my background, my background is sales. And so if there's one thing I know is to grow accounts, right? So I know how to hunt for accounts, I know how to grow for accounts. So basically, when I started off with that, you know, if I'm taking my own, you could say, storytelling kind of, how it started, I worked for Oracle for a decade and a half. And what I've seen there is this company is growing out of, simple, they just buy the competition. So they buy technology and they buy customer base. So basically, there's an amazing mergers and acquisition team, highly trained, very skillful, and they structure deals on a daily basis. So, the joke or the aspiration is to be a fly on the wall in these rooms because this is amazing how these guys are structuring stuff. So I got exposed to that a bit. And then when I ended my service in Oracle, I started saying, okay, I need to do that. But the model that I came into eventually was, I would say, maybe the classic one, right? So it's not about, a boomer going, you want to retire. It was about companies that has a great product. They got great products, great services, you know, amazing service, very good with what they do, but they simply don't sell. As simple as that. So whomever is responsible for generating revenue is simply not doing their job. So, think of it like that. This is a Mercedes shop, and they can't sell a bloody car, not even a single one, right? So, with that said, this company is the longer the discussion's going, it's going to be, to my benefit because their value is actually deteriorating. So I was structuring deals around value. So sometimes I would even play with that. I know it sounds horrible, but I still do. And I do that, those rounds in about three, you could say three companies at the same time. There's always three. The magical number is three. No more, no four, no two. It's simply three. So basically, you could say that the structuring of the deal is with, you could say, um, um, I want to, I want to reach the sweet spot in which then the owner is ready to sell his soul to the devil. At that point,
what do you mean by that?
as simple as that, so having this person is ready to sell his soul to the devil because in a day, the banks are going to eat him alive. In a day. So this is the sweet spot. So I'm basically structuring the deal to last as long as I can to bring this person to their knees. And then I close the deal. That's it.
Yeah.
Then when we come in, we do things a bit very aggressive, right? So we basically fire everybody. Okay, so get the fuck out. Simple as that. Okay, we put our own people, which are, MFs in terms of generating revenue. And it's not a secret. We are kind of approaching the same type of companies in the same markets over and over again because we know how to do that.
Yeah.
Okay, but that is different. Now, you can say, based on, the way Colin described, structuring the deal, we already got the funds to pay for that deal because of previous deals. So the hardest part was to jumpstart the discussion. That's sorry, not discussion, the first deal or the first 3 or 4 deals.
Colin, so these companies that are being acquired, right? They have so many options, right? They can sell to private equity, they can sell to either strategic or financial buyers, like they can actually cash out. So how do you get them to say yes to this?
Because
Right?
I don't think private equity would look at them, honestly. I actually don't think that private equity would look at many of these businesses. But to be honest, how do you get them to say yes? By structuring a complete win-win-win deal where it's genuinely stupid for them not to go for it. And that's where, like, for me, it's selling on aspiration in the sense that you come, and actually, to be fair, I had two clients in the last month that exited. Um, and that came up off the back of both our go-to-market work and the work that we've done in building their advisory boards. Now, only one I knew was trying to exit, the other one was kind of a surprise. But in both circumstances, the companies that they ended up joining, it's like, well, we're actually better off joining this company because it immediately kicks our revenues up by so much, or it immediately kicks our resources or valuation in the mothership. It's all around how it is that you structure the deal. And like for me, where I've had the most success is targeting companies in different countries, where people aspire to have an international business. Now that I've got an international business, it's fucking stressful. Like, it's absolutely horrendous, but it does sound impressive. People aspire to be a part of an international business, and it's about giving them that sort of an opportunity. And I also find that there's a difference between a business owner and an entrepreneur. A lot
True.
of business, yeah, like a lot of people that have been business owners for 10 years are just like, I'm done. Like, I actually want to go, I actually want to be I actually want to be an entrepreneur where I can have systems that can actually help me to run and optimize this business, but I just don't know how. So here is my opportunity to actually join a part of a group where I'll get that. I'll get the marketing systems, I'll get the lead generation systems, I'll get the global support and all the things that I need. That even if I'm a startup within a broader global group, I've got those kind of tools to do the stuff of why I actually started my business to begin with. So for me, it's always been on the aspirational side. That's what helped me to close these deals.
Yeah. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. One of the things that especially when I look at companies, right, is if I or one of my GMs, if they fuck it up, like, can the company survive? Right? Like, what is my worst case scenario? So then if the company gets acquired by either a private equity or a financial or strategic investor, maybe some people will get fired, but most of them won't. Like, you cannot really fuck it up. But if the strategy is acquiring, like the one you said, there is like a very little room for error, right?
Yeah.
Right?
True.
Because the companies that you're acquiring, one, probably smaller, meaning, yes, smaller headcount, but also smaller revenue and smaller market share and not that dominant brand. So,
And that's exactly why it's a private equity style acquisition, because,
yeah,
I'll give you an example because I recently
yeah.
just came back from Hong Kong where it looks like we're about to do another one completely by accident, fell into this one. I have again, I find it really, really weird because I just learned how to do this stuff by accident. And now I've got people approaching me like, hey man, what should we do in this one? So we met with a business where the owner has accidentally created a highly profitable company. Now, he's 63 years old. I'm not going to say he's the healthiest human being that I've ever encountered. And I don't think he can be fucked at all running this business. But he's also a control freak and he just doesn't want to let go of it. And he's managed to build a small team and he's got traction. He's got companies that are quite loyal to him in 5 different markets. But he really does not have any drive to move this thing forward. Where for us coming in, it's like, I know way more about how to build this business than this guy does because I've already scaled 3 companies similar to what he has done. And I'm talking about past like 100 million revenue. Like, I know exactly what to do. And it's also quite easy because what he does is already very highly complementary to Scalerr, that we would effectively become his first systems integrator or channel partner. So it kind of becomes an easy conversation. Like, we would acquire that company. We're already the systems integrator and channel partner. So for him, it's like, guess what, dickhead? You're getting a sales team working for you completely for free.
Yeah.
But we're taking an equity stake, obviously a large equity stake. We're taking a controlling stake within your business. Now, he just wants to have some sort of decision-making input so he can move up to like a board or an advisory role, because on the delivery side, he is quite good and he knows what he's talking about. He just has no inclination to sell. But for me, it's like, we already have the customers globally. I can do one single deal and that would grow this guy's revenues by 1000x of a single deal that I've been banking up. I'm glad that I haven't spoken to them about this, because I know they still have that pain point, and I would just need to tell them that, hey, guess what? Now we will be providing that solution to you. And now I win a Series C unicorn as the first customer, and that includes 800 seats in it. So we would skyrocket that. So it's a massive win for him. It's a huge win for us because it's just pure profit. He can't believe his lucky day and
Yeah.
how this
Yeah.
happened, but that's why you kind of
Yeah.
need it. You've got to be businesses where it's like, oh, look, I understand this business model. It's completely complementary and we can plug it in and then we can scale it. In fact, can I tell you an amazing story? I learned a lot from the guys at Deal, and I love how these guys make money. So Philippe Bois's, his son Alex started Deal, and I believe his cousin Olivia used to run Salesforce in Europe. Like, very, very smart bunch of guys. So Deal is now a massive global success story, but Philippe runs Serona Ventures, and he would look at solutions to invest in. But the way that he would make a decision is he would look at companies that are same customer base but completely complementary angle to Deal. So they ended up investing in Notion, for example, in Verbit, in Ramp. And what they did is, okay, great, but we're only going to invest in you if we can plug this in to Deal. So he'd call
Yeah.
up his son and he's like, hey, mate, we're thinking, sorry, he doesn't say mate because he's not Australian, but if he was Australian, he would say it. He's like,
Yeah.
I found this company to invest in. Same customer base, completely complementary angle. If we put the money in, can we plug this into Deal and now get it traction across 80 markets? So they invest and then they just blow up the valuation. And Ramp, I think it was 2 months ago, hit a $20 billion valuation. I think Notion is at a $15 billion valuation. And these guys got in at like very, very, very early because they just leverage their existing customer base, their existing partnership and distribution network to plug it in and skyrocket the valuation.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what
Yeah.
we're looking at doing here.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Well,
Oh.
that's so different from what we do. And when I say we, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the we basically steal customers.
Yeah.
That's it. That's what we do, right? So we're coming in with the ability to, and that's huntering, that's account management, that's bringing theory into practice in a very aggressive way. But we are able to do that in less than 12 months. And then what happens is, basically the competition that we're taking business off will actually contact and say, "Hey, you're disturbing my business." Hey, yeah, good for you. You know, and then
No
then
shit.
and then what happens is that the longer the negotiation, then the price simply goes up, because at that point it's like negotiation under war conditions, right? So at this point, we're doing business, we boom it. We're basically bombing, and we're basically working faster than ever just to make sure that the valuation, is going up. So, acquiring basically that this is Robert Kiyosaki's, theory, right? You buy
Yeah.
cheap, you sell premium, right? Hey, the oldest trick in the book. But this is basically what we do. So
Yep.
we're busy reducing valuation, and we do this in a very painful way. And then we're busy upscaling the valuation, and we do this in a painful way. Nobody said it's a nice thing to do, but we literally don't care. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. Colin,
Always. Yeah.
one more question for you, man.
Hmm.
So you have a company that, well, not you, but let's say there's a company and they do this model, right? So they go into different markets by acquiring smaller companies, right? So those companies have their own head of operations.
Yeah.
They have their own revenue teams, marketing
Mhm.
teams. They have maybe their own HR, legal, compliance, whatever. So how
Yeah.
do you handle those types of things? The reason why I'm asking is that one of the biggest operational efficiencies that every single private equity does, and I'm kind of know where you are going, where you will go with the answer, right?
I know you
But
do.
they run a lot of shared services, right? So Noam and I
Yeah.
talked about shared services in the past. So for all of the viewers, shared services is when you acquire 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 companies, then one department becomes the main one. So let's say they will all share legal, they will all share human resources, and so on and so on. So let's say you do 15 of these deals, or 17, or 18. Talk to us a little bit about that part, right?
This is a great question. I quite like the reason why I love this question is I've ended up in some quite unusual circumstances. So I met the founder of the second biggest private equity fund in Asia Pacific because I'm in entrepreneur organization, EO, really, really, really good guy. And we were having a chat and I'm just like, look, you've built an amazing business. I really admire everything that you've done, but there's gaps in your business model, which is quite unusual. Him hearing this complete fuckwit telling him that you actually
He's
have
got
quite a lot
gaps.
of, yeah,
from a guy that cannot open a business bank account.
exactly. I don't even have a business bank account. And I'm just like, yeah, look, you're doing things wrong. So, but the point that I made is the gap that I've seen in private equity, and to be fair, most people actually, the vast majority of private equity funds, they take over a company and it's how do we cut costs? It's how do we cut costs? How do we put in systems in terms of HR, technology, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, you need all that, but there's other shit that you're completely missing. Number one, why are you sticking some dickhead from McKinsey or Bain onto this company's advisory board? Like the reality is, these guys can't close a barn door. They've never carried a multi-million-dollar quota in terms of needing to go and scale a company. Like if you're going to go bring a company down from like 20 million revenue, whatever it is, down to like 10 million revenue, the number of the cuts, you need people who are go-to-market battle-hardened experts that have taken companies from 10 million to 50 million on their advisory board, not the guy from McKinsey. You need the people that actually come out of their industry. So whether it's HR tech, business to business SaaS, cybersecurity, whatever it is, you need people that have been there and done that, that know the formula, know the playbook. Do we sell through channel? Do we sell direct? Do we segment between SMB, mid-market, enterprise? Like these are the kind of people that you need to be putting on the boards of these companies. And your shared services, I'm like, great that you're giving me HR and legal, but do you know what? They don't make me any fucking money. Really, what you need to be giving them is marketing and sales. How do we actually do our marketing? Because if they're distressed, that means that, yeah, they probably can't manage their OPEX, but they also don't know how to make revenue.
True.
That's the problem.
Yeah,
True.
yeah.
They don't know. First of all, how do you what are methodology you doing for what methodology you use for selling? If the answer is we don't know what that is, therein lies your problem. It should be spin, band, medic, whatever it is. Second of all, how is it that you do your marketing? Most of them will be like, oh, we do a couple of Facebook ads. Wrong answer, dickhead. It needs to be field marketing. You're a B2B company. They don't know any of this. They don't know what field marketing is. They don't know what solution selling is. So the real
Yeah.
problem, it's not an OpEx question. Like anyone can go in and cut costs and fire people. But it takes a special person to know how to be able to come in and not just, okay, great, cut costs, make it profitable. How do we 10x the revenue? that there is a subset of go-to-market, and that there was what most private equity funds don't actually do. And to be honest, they don't even know it. That's why I give them advice with no
Yeah,
bank accounts.
one of my good friends is he runs product for a company that is owned by private equity, and they are so what one of and what he does, he would basically look at where can I build a tech product that I can deploy my sales teams to get the revenues up. And now
Yeah.
he has like 6 or 7 or 8 different products within the very big niche. And I can say he will be a guest on a podcast in a week or two. So he runs Zonda Home, where they run stuff in constructions, architecture, all of those things, right? Like they're a really, really big player. But this is exactly the thinking that he brought in instead of, um, let's cut this junior HR and then we will save 60K on EBITDA.
No, but there's being conscious of the time, but think of it, there is a reason why the entire industry usually relies or operates in cost reduction, to increase it.
Of
There is a
course.
reason. Go to the university and there's not a single course in sales. There's not a single course in
I agree.
growth. There's not a single course on how to make, bloody money. There's not. There is a course about marketing, which is a totally crap. Sorry, my apology, right? But
That's okay.
that's the reality, where there's a lot of courses about,
M&A.
yeah, there's courses about cost, allocation, and there's about
Management.
finance. Nothing about how you being more effective, but a lot about how being more efficient. So when it comes to acquiring companies, they do what they're being taught, and it's to cut down cost
Yeah.
to increase the EBITDA. When that's the wrong side of the equation, you want to boom it, you bring more. And so this is beautiful, Colin. What as you said, you're coming in, you're advising the man of the name that in the neighborhood. But honest to God, that I think that's the reason these guys love you, because that's the first time that, or in decades, that someone told them what they needed to hear, truly needed to hear. So that's beautiful.
Thank you. It
Yeah.
not something that I intended to be doing, but it's quite interesting how some of these doors when
Yeah.
it's opened up. In fact, can I just tell you another story? Something which I found
Sure.
particularly aspirational, where I started putting this together from a private equity model. I used to work with, I won't name, I'll name them, MicroStrategy before they became Strategy. And I remember the company at the time, this was long before the entire Bitcoin thing, but they weren't performing very well. They were getting destroyed by like Click, Tableau, SAS, and they had a new GTM leader join. And I love this guy. The guy comes in, he's like, okay, great. What's your title? Account executive. He's like, how much did you sell last year? Oh, I sold 1.8 million. Goes, great. To how many new logos? I didn't get any new logos. He's like, then you're not an account executive, you're an account manager. He's like,
Sure.
how many new logos have we won last year? None. Okay, great. This is what we're doing. I'm taking all of your accounts off all of you guys. None of you guys are keeping any accounts, and I'm giving that to the customer success, we're hiring a new customer success person. Now, this is what we're going to do. Why didn't you win any new accounts? Oh, competitors have got a better product. Oh, it's our pricing. He's like, okay,
Excuse one, excuse
is
two, excuse three, and most importantly, excuse four.
yeah. Well, what he did is like, so this is what we're going to do. I'm going to give each one of you 15 accounts to target. Now, you are going to go in there and you are going to go sell them the most expensive shit that we have with 0 discounts. Now, you might not know how to do that, and I'm going to coach you on how to do that because our solution is the best. What you don't know is how to actually position and sell our solution on value. Now, I am going to coach you in how to do that. You land one deal, you make President's Club. You land 2 deals and you're buying a Porsche. You land 3 deals and you're buying a yacht. So the guy comes in within a single year, 500% growth in the business. That there is what companies should be doing when you're doing a private equity buyout. That is an example of how to completely transform the culture in the way
Beautiful.
that I know that Noam
Yeah.
loves the story,
Yeah.
but
Beautiful.
I'm
Beautiful.
sorry.
I know Noam loves this. I have
Yes.
one more. I have one more story very similar to this, and this is where I am. I think Colin, you and I talked about this. Is whenever I begin talking with a company, and whenever Noam and I get in these little bit larger companies as coaches, one of the things that we would ask is, "Hey, Mr. CEO, how many CEOs of your top 15 customers do you know personally?" The answer is maybe one or two.
Yeah.
But fine. Hey, Mr. CTO, how many of your top 15 customers, CTOs, do you know personally or go to lunch to? Zero. Mr. CRO, how many
Yeah.
CROs of your top 15 customers, so customers who pay the most money, do you know personally? And then when you zero, and then when you dig deeper, you see that there is only 7 people in the company that actually do sales, and they're all called SDRs or account executives. No one else is doing sales. What I suggest, and then what this is kind of a little bit controversial, and I did talk about it several times, is everyone should have a quota in the company, from a
True.
junior designer to the CEO. Now, they probably shouldn't run the sales process. That's what we pay the account executives, shitload of money, right? But they should have at least, hey, generate one warm lead or one SQL per half a year.
I would take, this is to be honest, Mario, I'd like to make a topic out of, a complete podcast about that. But for me, the best way of
I
describing
know.
this is taken from physics. And if the best way to describe is if you take a vector and everybody in the organization is pushing toward a very specific angle, full force, then what you got is a unified vector that's going to break the enemy, which is the competition. But if you got a lot of people doing whatever they want to, so that different vectors, the company isn't going anywhere. So think of it, you got this ball here, different
True
people
north.
pulling in true north. So quota is one thing, but they all need to have a clear strategy on how to get this one deal, one SDR, and one SQL, whatever, 2, 5, whatever. So everybody should have a quota. Even the guy that opened the garage, in the entrance, everybody. And I know of a company here locally that the CEO done that. Every single person was selling.
Oh.
Every single person. You couldn't go to a meeting without being sold to as a customer again and again and again. Amazing, amazing company. Now I know the CEO very well. He retired, but that's an amazing guy. This is exactly what you just described. Exactly. And this is how you turn a company from, let's say, regular.
Exactly. This
Yeah,
is peak performance.
true.
This is peak performance. And I'm with you, Colin. Private equity is notorious, if we are not touching a little bit on private equity, just moving kind of away from our topic of acquiring companies at zero money down. Private equity is notorious at optimizing shit, right?
Yeah.
And some of them are really good at generating new value, so increasing growth, like increasing revenue. And some have done it like a good to fairly good job, like double or triple revenue within their holding period, so either 7 years or 10 years. But doubling revenue within 10 years, that's not a too difficult job.
No.
Like it is tough, but it's like not impossible. What is impossible is getting everyone aligned to True North and then get everyone to sell.
No, that is very hard.
Yeah.
But this is
I
why I like,
agree.
calling the way, I like your formula of doing that because when you're coming in, you don't handle, load balances. You don't optimize. You just bring a lot of juice inside. And this literally, I think, changed the entire scope of work. Love it. Simply beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. All
Thank
right.
you.
Since we are at the end of yet another episode about acquisitions in private equity that ran almost an hour. Colin, first of all, thank you so much for doing this.
Thank
This
you.
was an absolute pleasure. Thank you for either getting up or staying awake
Staying awake.
till it's 4:30 where you are. So
It's
that
4:30.
just hardcore. Anything you want to plug? Any last words on the topic of acquiring companies zero money down? Like
It's a lot easier than what people think. Honestly, I think for most founders and entrepreneurs, it's just something that they've never heard of. They've never actually heard of or come across the concept. They think that it's something which is only reserved if you're Vista Equity Partners or something like that. It's actually not. It is actually significantly easier to do. And for me, it really just comes down to partnerships. It's about creating partnerships with other businesses where there is that complementary angle, and then about knowing how to convert a partnership into a joint venture. But if you can do that, it's actually one of the easiest ways to scale a company, 10x a company without needing to pay for it, which is pretty fucking good.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, Noam, any last comments?
Any last words?
Any last words? Well, I don't want to say that, man.
No, no, no. It's all good. I can say that, usually when people describe, acquiring whatever with zero money down, I usually hear that they're simply buying more leverage or they're being, leveraging themselves, but from different resources. But I think that the lesson learned and my key taking from this session here, and basically, Colin, thanks for, educating on me on this. It's not about the leverage, it's about the structuring of the deal.
Yes.
So I think that the true art here is not about how you handle your leverage or how well are you, how far you leveraged, but rather structuring of the deal. This is the art here. So I think that the innovation and creativity is structuring the deal. So this is my lesson learned, and that's my key taking from this session. And I want to thank you for sharing some light here. Thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you,
Awesome.
guys.
So everyone, thank you so much. Please make sure I'll leave Colin's LinkedIn in the
Only
comments,
thanks.
and we will most likely share this on LinkedIn. So make sure to follow Colin. He has great things to say. Very funny pictures that he posts on LinkedIn. Yeah, well, some of them are.
Now you get them interested. They'll obviously tap in.
Oh, yeah. And everyone, until the next time, as Norman I like to say, go and sell something.
Pick up the damn phone.
Damn phone. Thanks,
Yeah.
everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, guys.